So our monthly theme for this month is reaching higher, right? Reaching higher. So everybody raise your hand. Okay, and then raise it a little bit more. Raise it a little more. Reaching higher, right. Okay, that's what we do on the physical. And now we're talking about reaching higher to get a greater understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. We're going inside. We're going to connect with expanding into the infinite in a greater way. We're pushing past our comfort zone. We're using our understanding in innovative ways to advance us forward and include and benefit from what we have learned along the way, but not letting it hold us back. We let it enrich us, but not confine us, right? So today, expanding our comfort zone. We're going to begin with a vision. And of course, in Proverbs it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. We have to have a vision of what it is in that higher consciousness that we want to embrace. So the Centers for Spiritual Living have a global vision, and it says, we see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we're called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. So this is a lofty goal. But we have to have lofty goals to move forward. You know, if you're playing golf, you don't have the flag in the hole right next to you. It's way out there. And you have to try to get there. So we've got it way out there, but we're trying to get there, one step at a time. Ernest Holmes says, and he's the founder of the Science of Mind and Spirit, he says, there is a place in your mind where it merges with the divine. There is a secret place of the Most High within everyone, and we should seek to discover this secret place. There is a power greater than we are, and we should learn how to use it. So, to use this power to a greater degree, we have to grow because we're finite beings. We live within time and space. And yet there is that infinite that is outside of time and space. But we're connected to it. And so it's inviting us to evolve. And what that means is that we have to grow. And there's a reason why the word ow is in the middle of growth. Because it ain't easy. We are not too comfortable with change, most of us, because it causes us discomfort. We don't know what the change is going to bring. We don't know how to do it. We don't know what it's going to mean. We don't know if we're going to be safe. And of course, our ego is always trying to be safe. It's always trying to keep us safe. And that's not a bad thing unless it's constricting us from living our best life. So I'd like to suggest an approach we can take when we're called out of our comfort zone. And the thing about being called out of our comfort zone is usually we don't really want to be called out of our comfort zone, but there it is. So the first we have to do is acknowledge our discomfort. We don't deny it. We just say, wow, this is feeling uncomfortable, but I have to deal with that discomfort. Change is scary. And yes, we've done it a million times before. We've done it. You know, we've gone to new places. We've talked to new people. We've had new experiences. And maybe they were scary at first. You know, I remember being up in Alaska and doing one of those things where you are strapped in and jump off and fly to the next panel. You know, what do they call that? Zip lining. I did zip lining. This is like 2 years ago. I did zip lining. And, you know, it's scary, but it's thrilling. So the thing is, remember times that you have coped with scary things and change. You've made it through. When I accepted the pulpit here at Sierra Center in 2008, it was scary. I had to leave the Bay Area, which is where I had lived most of my life. I had to find a new place to live. I had to move my place. I had to rent the condo that I had been living in. You know, and I had to come up and do a job that I had never done before, and I had to live in the snow, which I had never done before. So it's scary. But I took it one step at a time. I had support from friends. I had support from this community. And I just dealt with, you know, what it took each day. I kept my spiritual practice and my faith that Spirit was guiding me. And it ended up being the most joy-filled experience of my life. I had things come to me that I had no clue. When you let Spirit take over, when you just say, okay, Spirit, I'm willing, boom, you never can tell what's going to show up. In that affirmation that I read earlier, she is inviting us not to only notice our unease. So this is the second thing. We not only notice the unease, but we use it as a wake-up call to look beyond the problem, beyond the challenge. We have to look towards solution, because there is a solution. And so our goal is to find that solution. It helps to have a spiritual practice to find that solution, because then we can be still and listen to that divine voice that does give us a clue. It gives us dreams. It gives us people who come into our awareness that tell us things we needed to know. Sometimes it comes in the form of something we hear on the radio. As you know, I'm a big fan of NPR. I hear all kinds of things that were like just what I needed to know at that moment. And one time I saw a billboard, and it was like, oh, got it. You know, so Spirit is sending us messages. It's about us looking for the solution, looking for that opening. We have to figure out whether what we're feeling is fear or excitement or both. When I recently did a celebration of life for a former member of this community, Carol Newsom, Terry Brown was there, and he told us that he had lost his home in the river fire. And so, you know, when we were having a little fellowship afterwards, I said, I'm sorry to hear about your home. And he said, well, you know, we were thinking of downsizing. And he said, and the place we're in, if they build the Centennial Dam, they're going to flood us out anyway. So the decision has been made for us. And so we're looking forward to finding our new home. Now, that is quite a creative action in a place that is of discomfort. Now, just because it's a creative action doesn't mean it's easy. We do have to get through everything that comes our way in the process of unfolding the solution. So there will be insurance companies to deal with, and maybe FEMA to deal with, and there will be looking for the home, and maybe, as my cousins did, who got burned out in the fire in Santa Rosa, then you have all these decisions to make. Okay, what kind of tile do you want? What kind of backsplash do you want in the kitchen? What kind of, it's like all these decisions. And then, of course, finding the contractors and getting them to show up and do the work when they say they were going to do it. And, taking 3 years to get back into your home. Not easy. But they did it. Possible. So we're looking for solution. Now, as some of you may have known, I've gotten involved in climate change solutions. That's what my heart is being called to now. And if you want to think of a challenge, baby, that's it. That is it. And we think, oh, the pandemic is a terrible thing, and it absolutely is. And guess what? We have seen this year so many examples of how climate change is impacting everyone around the world, whether it's floods in Germany or floods in China or hurricanes or cyclones or fires here and in Europe. I mean, it's fires in Siberia, heat waves in Siberia. So the thing is, we can't eat this elephant except one bite at a time. Okay, we've got to take a step. We've got to, first of all, acknowledge that it's happening. There are certainly a lot of folks who don't believe it. It's always happened. Not if you look at the statistics. If you look at, in 1980, there were 300 extreme weather events worldwide. In 2016, there were 800. Who knows how many there are today? So we have to take steps to solve the problem. And one of the ways that we can look for solution is with this little book called Drawdown. It's edited by Paul Hawken. It has the 100 solutions for global warming. None of them are new technology. None of them are things that aren't already being done. They're just not being done to the extent we need to do them. So we need to figure out what we can do, how we can be called to what we can do as individuals, because we know we're contributing to it in different ways. Of course, driving our cars, that's one way. But a lot of it is also about making the corporate world take responsibility for all of their emissions as well. And part of how we do that is through some legislation. And I can tell you more about that offline. But anyway, I wanted to tell you about a couple of things. First of all, we have here in Nevada County a organization called Tree Sisters. Now, number 5 on this list of 100 things we can do is plant trees. And we plant the trees in tropical zones because they grow faster and they can take the carbon out of the air faster. So Tree Sisters pays women in tropical zones to plant trees. It's a win-win because they make money planting the trees, and we are going to have more oxygen, less carbon because of the trees. So Tree Sisters is an organization that we can support, and so I support them on a monthly basis. Another thing is reducing food waste. So, that is one of the solutions, and I'm happy to hear that. I think Waste Management is going to start collecting food waste and stuff next year. So I think that's a great thing, so they're going to compost it. So instead of ending up in landfill, it's going to be composted, and that is a great thing. So Joan Baez said, action is the antidote to despair. So rather than looking at the problem and despairing, we look at the little piece that might be ours to do, because everybody doing something means that change happens. So, the third thing we can do is be willing, not willful. We're looking to take a higher view, just like in the Caldor fire, there was a military plane at 18,000 feet that could see through the smoke to the heat signatures of the spots of fire below the smoke. And they could let the firefighters know where they should go to catch these spot fires. Because spotting planes couldn't do it because the smoke was too thick. But these guys, way up in the air, could look for these heat signatures. So instead of using them in Afghanistan, they were using them here for a positive purpose. Yay, God. So the universe evolves. Nature, we've seen, nature evolves. The Grand Canyon didn't happen overnight. It happened one drip of water at a time. And so we are invited to be willing to make the change that's necessary for this moment in time. And we're here because we're the people who can do it. We're the people who can make that change. Some of us think, oh, well, you know, climate change, I'm old. I'm just going to live my life and let the kids figure it out. Well, you know, we should have done something a long time ago. Better late than never. Let's do something now. The science of mind is all about taking responsibility for our thoughts, for our words, and for our actions. Because we are co-creating the world that we live in. Everything we're seeing now is the result of an idea, of a thought. You know, this podium was the result of a thought. Those chairs are the result of a thought. This fan is the result of the thought. Everything is the result of the thought. Everything that we're seeing in the world right now is the result of thinking or not thinking. Because we also have to look out for what we're ignoring instead of accepting. What are we willing to acknowledge and take action on? And we do this not just for ourselves, but for future generations. Like the Native Americans say, the seventh generation. They're always thinking about the seventh generation. And even Martin Luther, back in the day, and I'm not talking about Martin Luther King, I'm talking about Martin Luther, the Lutheran guy. he said, even though the world may be falling to pieces, I'm going to plant my apple tree. And maybe he'll never eat an apple off that tree. But planting that tree says, I have faith in the future. I have faith in the future. So the new world is calling us to deepen our spiritual practice, to meditate, to pray, to study, to serve, to dance, to write, to paint, to sculpt, to do what we are called to do to bring forth that greater good that wants to be experienced by means of us. I believe in the power of prayer, and so I would like to invite us to hold in our mind rain. I would like you to close your eyes just for a moment if you're willing, and I would like you to think about rain. And we're not talking deluge or monsoon. We're just talking about a gentle rain that falls and is absorbed by the soil. And that this rain is nourishing all the trees and the plants and the insects and the animals and everything that is so, so dry right now. Let us feel rain. We tap into the infinite energy. We tap into that infinite mind that we know we are a part of. And we bring into our awareness the smell of the earth when the rain hits it, and the feeling of the droplets falling on us, and that realization of rain being cooling, restoring, washing, renewing, bringing us to a greater experience of life. We hold that thought of rain. We hold that idea. And we plant it into our consciousness deeply, fully. We experience it. The wetness, the smell, the humidity. We experience it. We know it. We feel it. And we allow it to shift the clouds, the winds. We allow it to bring that rain into our area. This week, we're just inviting the rain. We're communicating with the water molecules. We're saying, hey, come on down. And so we just allow that to be, allow that to unfold. And I would like to close with another little mind expansion. This is the Lord's Prayer, also called the Our Father, taken directly from the Aramaic. Now, the version we usually come in contact with went from Aramaic to Greek, from Greek to Latin, from Latin to English. And you know how when you play telephone, things get lost in the translation. So this is directly from the Aramaic. O cosmic birther of all radiance and vibration, soften the ground of our being and carve out a space within us where your presence can abide. Let your counsel rule our lives, clearing our intention for co-creation. Let each of our actions bear fruit in accordance with your desire. Endow us with the wisdom to produce and share what each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled threads of destiny that bind us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which would divert us from our true purpose, but free us from what holds us back. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the birth power and fulfillment, as all is gathered and made whole once again. I seal this prayer in trust and faith. And so it is.